My name is Kimm Culkin. Sorry I couldn't join you in person tonight, but I'm very interested to see what the other readers have to say about their books, and I'd love to tell you about mine. I work with the West Grey Public Library, and the book that I am describing to you is called The Apollo Murders, and it's by Chris Hadfield. First, a little bit about the library. We have 3 branches in West Grey. The largest branch is the Durham branch. Then there are smaller branches in Ayton and Newstead. And we have a small but mighty staff and a small but mighty program and collection. We're very proud of our library. We think we do a really good job for our community, and we're really happy when we can participate in things like this. So, The Apollo Murders, Chris Hadfield. You probably have already known about Chris Hadfield if you've lived in Canada for more than 5 years. He is a retired astronaut, but he's also been a fighter pilot and a test pilot, and apparently has written a book for children, his own autobiography. He's a musician and actually played one of his selections from space. So he's a bit of a Renaissance man, and most Canadians are pretty proud that he's been part of the space program internationally. He wrote this novel. I'm pretty sure all of it was written during COVID. So it was interesting when he was interviewed about it. He said that he did not have to research too deeply beyond the internet. If he had a question he couldn't answer, like were headphones worn and what the circumstances were, he would just phone one of his friends who was an astronaut. So most of us can't do that. And so that makes this a really interesting thriller from that point of view. It's a political thriller, which is pretty timely right now. You probably know political thriller is that the facts or the action takes place set against a political background. So there are usually very many secrets, complicated cast of characters, lots of locations, and the action sort of proceeds in one location and another and another and another, and you're brought up to speed as the action ratchets up. And that's exactly what happens in this one. It's a very meaty kind of thriller where you meet sort of stock characters that you can connect to or know right away are villains. The protagonist in this one is named Kaz Zemeckis, and he is don't think I'm giving too much away here. One-eyed pilot who is serving as a liaison among the different communities involved, the different agencies and so on, and also has an finger in the political pie. So he's often used as an interpreter, and he's also very handy with the exposition because he tells us stuff that we need to know. As with all thrillers, this is really twisty. So I don't want to talk about the plot itself too much. It's just too easy to give something away. But the idea basically starts with, we start the book with Kaz's accident in which he does lose his eye. Very graphic, very detailed, so be warned. And then opens in his next job, which is as this liaison. We meet a lot of truly historical characters. Some of the characters from the Apollo space program have major roles in this, Alan Shepard being one. And if you're younger than maybe 70, you will probably not know a lot of the characters, maybe a little younger. But they had high profile in the 60s and 70s, and this novel set in 1973. Chris Hadfield said that when he was writing it, he had to be really careful that he didn't put things too far in the future, because of course he wasn't in the space program at that point. So it starts off with this realization that the Soviets, that's what they were called then, the Soviets, had a space station that was doing some kinds of mysterious activities, and the Apollo 18 mission, which is a mission that didn't actually fly, is recruited to serve a political purpose as well, and that is to investigate the space station's goings-on. So why read this? Well, it's a fun, meaty, like, dear heavens, what's going to happen next? It's realistic enough to suck you in, and then just fantastical enough to sort of reassure you. But as Hadfield said, 95% of the action in this actually happened. So there was a secret, the whole bunch of Soviet secrets around their space station. There were incidents, there were disasters that we were not privy to as members of the public in the 70s. So that part's fascinating. Given the current situation just now between Russia and Ukraine, it's most interesting to read the kind of book this is that has all the backroom action so that you understand how personalities play a role, how pressures from elsewhere can have an effect, and how people can get roped into doing things that they otherwise wouldn't likely do. So for that reason, it's most interesting. It moves along at a really quick clip. I both read it and listened to it, and the listening part is it makes it more immediate, I suppose. But there's a beautiful chapter. The beginning of chapter 11 describes the sort of origin of the universe, and it's well worth reading just on its own. It's a lovely piece, and as lyrical as a scientist would get, I would say. So I hope you'll read it. I hope you'll vote for it. I hope you'll support our library. I hope you'll support all libraries in Grey Bruce. They're well worth the support, and people have been working really hard the last couple of years during the pandemic to ensure that people in the community are connected, stay connected, and still get opportunities to do lifelong learning, to develop their interests, to help their children. So thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for your votes. Thank you for your support. Read the book.